Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. It's surely with spirit of matter as the sun is rising on a Mercury day, and I would like to welcome Hermes, um, god of alchemy, god of trustworthiness. And when I heard trustworthiness, it was um, reading the invocation to Mercury, to Hermes, um, from a version by Christopher Warnock, and that surprised me because we used to think of Mercury as god of lies. Now it's retrograde. Lies, cunningness, trickery. Yes, but you have to be informed with lies to um, to be trustworthy. Okay, and that is the way Mercury is trustworthy. It's the one that knows the lies that's run around, um, and uh, uh, and understands, okay, for what's going on. Also knowing the lies that we can lie to ourselves sometimes, and understand what the truth is. So essentially, is trustworthy, okay, in a roundabout way. It is God of trade and exchange of goods, of contracts, of words, of being well phrased, of humor and funny ideas. Mercury rules over our hands, our ears, our fingers, and our speech. It is ruling over Gemini, the sign of the twins, and the duality of debate, or the devil's advocate. And indeed is associated, together with Venus, with Lucifer, okay, the bringer of light, not the Lucifer that the Rabobank worships, but Lucifer as the one that brings enlightenment. Okay, very different Lucifers there. It's just because someone say the Luciferian doesn't mean that they are working with Hermes. Mercury is also ruling of Virgo, which is taking that Gemini cunningness into writing a book. Mercury is also, like say, god of alchemy, so it's god of magic and the medicine. And this is where you also need to tell for the trickery of what is a medicine, of what is not a medicine, and to have a trickery way with the people of Mercury, which is journalists, lawyers, authors, chemists, herbalists. Yes, and essentially the doctors that prescribe things. And you say, surely, what is the doctor that doesn't prescribe things? Well, I say, don't ask me. Begin to search and ask for it yourself, as Mercury would invite you to get your own answers as well. And also of the trickery ways in which you deal with this, with trickery in the medical field, through humor, through cunningness, through being informed of that trickery. That's what makes you trustworthy. And I think it's very relevant for the days we are living right now. Okay, it's also god of storytelling. Those who've watched my Instagram have seen some hermetic work that I do there. And the power of story is God that rules children as well. As children, they always try something new. They may fall, but then they rise and they play again. And this is also God is associated with innovation, therefore. And so this is just to invite Mercury in to accompany us throughout the day, and to keep the humorous perspective for to allow us to deal with things and to tend to things and to find solutions in a eureka way around that which is deceitful, or simply to come into agreement. Mercury is adaptable in temperature, so it's good with good and the bad with bad, and adapts its nature to those that they meet. Again, it is all about balancing the nervous system. Okay, which means that if it's cold outside, I need to generate more heat, or to mitigate my heat generation to fit with surroundings, depending. So if it's hot outside, I need to generate coolness. Okay. If I'm speaking with someone who has my best interest in mind, I need to generate softness and vulnerability. If I'm speaking with someone who's gaslighting me, I need to generate humor and the ability to explain for that person that might not be the best course to take with me. So that is a part of what Mercury does. Mercury reminds you that contracts are only relevant if you have informed consent and willing consent, and all contracts are revoked when it's not that way. So Mercury is here to remind us that nobody can bind you in a contract that you didn't agree to, and not even the court system. For their laws have validity only when they serve mankind. Okay, just think about Gemini and Sag, and Gemini being the debate and Sag being the higher philosophy. So let not those who are caught up with managing pedo rings, Supreme Court judges, tie you up in contracts, in words, in legalities that are essentially artificial, as are artificial intelligence. Okay, let not that be the case. And remember the rule of people. Okay, Mercury is a very people sign, and the rule of people is that all people need to get along with people. Mercury doesn't ask, are you a man, woman, gender queer, child, adult, whatnot. It adapts itself to you. Okay, and so this is something that perhaps can accompany us as we go about our way, as we are tending more to various situations, scenarios, and people that we weren't tending to before, maybe coming from different cultures, maybe this, maybe that, and we have to find humorous and even cunning ways to explain for them that you do that. Certain things you can bring from your culture, certain things we are already dealing with in our culture, and we are going to deal with you in similar fashion as the Supreme Court judges if you follow their road to be accepted into our society rather than ours. Okay, which is Mercury is very childlike curiosity, playfulness, and Mercury is the children, so you have to honor the children. For otherwise, children have multiple ways, okay, of showing you that your mandate has expired. For you try to tie them up in grooming or content or stuff that is not meant for them. So Mercury is also the cunning ways in which nature does correct for itself, and I always like to talk about the atomic bombing and the toxins, okay, but not just fluoride, but the toxins around And 7 generations later, okay, those who made the atomic bomb were Pluto in Gemini. The younger ones, Pluto in Cancer, yes, like Feynman. But the olders, then we have Pluto in Sag. And what do we know about Gen Z? They need always a safety room, sensory safety room. They can't work too many hours. They have to have meaning and purpose in their job, or they can't operate a neurodivergent neurological system. This is Mercury. And this is how nature corrects for itself, because at that time there was industrial revolution and people worked like machines. And we are in quite interesting times right now, where it's good to remember that when there is war and so many amputated limbs, you eventually cannot have biometric passport. So it's also not too much to worry about the satire of things, but also that trickery is needed and cunningness is needed. We call upon Hermes to bestow these qualities on us of trustworthiness and being informed of cunning trickery. Okay, may our lives be convincing and our teachings true when we needed to meet our needs. Okay, and so rather than with anger or with rage, we can do so with trickery. Okay, and I like to tell a business joke that they tell about Donald Trump. And this business joke was that Donald Trump came to the bank to take a big loan. And the bank says, okay, but you have to deposit something. He said, no problem, I have 3 cars here. Very expensive cars, great cars, you got my cars, you know. And they parked these cars. And then a week or so later, he brings back the entire loan to the bank. Okay, repays the entire loan to the bank. The bank says, that is very weird, Mr. Trump. Well, why do you need all this money if you just return it right away? And Trump says, listen, I got 3 very expensive cars. There's no way I could get parking in affordable prices, this good of a deal for any other parking lot. And it's just a little interest that I paid. It's cheaper than to park these 3 cars, and you were of great help to me. So this is how it's said as Mr. Trump dealt with the bank. Okay, this is a type of hermetic wisdom. Okay, that if you are informed of the little things and details, you can work with that in your benefit. And I remind us, okay, if people associate Lucifer with the child of sacrifice and so on, that if from that perspective, if Lucifer likes suffering, which does not, but okay, it's the most adaptable god. Okay, it's Mercurial and Venusian. It likes to make love and be adaptable and laugh and that's it. Like that's good food, traveling. So you don't have to sacrifice suffering for it. Rather, I know of maybe pleasure. I don't know. But the thing is that somehow people decided to do that for very weird reasons. And if you say Saturn is Lord of Karma. Saturn is Lord of Karma, so that's the last god I would do crime for if I want good karma. In fact, as a person whose second house is ruled by a 22-degree Mars that rules over Pluto in the 9th house, that I would get a lot of money from masses upon masses of people being killed by a cult leader, by a political leader, and so on. I know that to keep good karma, I need to make sure that nobody that doesn't need to die dies, and this is part of what I'm doing with these broadcasts, so that I keep good karma. I also have Saturn in the 9th, this Mars rules, so nobody is killed that doesn't have to be killed, and I also tend to prevention of political assassination. If that's your case, you have to tend to expendable children, and respect to will and consent, and for people who have been politically persecuted, like with psychiatry and so on, like Hansa Madma, to give shelter to Hansa Madma, or other whistleblowers. Okay, why? Because this is something that is going to prevent your satanic persecutors, very likely that your persecutors are satanic, from being able to access you. It's very simple. Okay, they get the return to sender, but they cannot do this if I am protecting a pedophile. Okay, it would backfire. You're not to blame because you grew up in such and such, and we may still have somewhat success in the beginning, but you will have to tend to that and get ideas in your own way. But it's also to you. But everything you think about is solutions to everything. You know that everything is solutions to everything. You just have to do the solutions and not for the Luciferian, their Luciferian satanic solutions. And then it's possible for me to do return to sender and to create pathways for you to be released from imprisonment. I'm not promising anything, but it's something that I do tend to, but it will always be only when you do keep intentions clear, because this is the power with which I fight for you. Okay, it's when your intentions clear. This is the power with which I fight for you. That can make this successful. It's how I protect and shield myself as well. So that is yes of what I have to say. This is Saturn is basically Lord of Karma, as the last one you would want to do all these horrid things for. And the triple face, of course, is Beta Perseus of Gol. She went through, okay, being violated and not believed and murdered and so on. So the last thing you want is to create such rites in honor of the triple face. It's quite the other way around. And I talk about Algol, and this is going to be crucial in prevention for most political assassinations that I've seen. Or from my perspective, that I can tend to. Okay, why? Because right now there is all this thing happening with the medical, with the financial, and Algol tends to all of that perfectly, but you have to be in alignment to tend to that, and then we can assist to prevent a political assassination for you, return to sender, and so on. I say I do not consent, and it will not be against your interest to listen to survivors of satanic ritual abuse and learn for their tricks to protect themselves, because you are yourself survivor of satanic ritual abuse. Okay, if you're a politician, or even if you are in psychology, okay, anything Pluto psychology, sexual psychology, or stuff like that, yes, listen to this and to protect yourself. That will pave paths for you, or other hidden things. Okay, if you were like Epstein ring, if you were something like Epstein and you want out of this lifestyle, you were probably inbred and abused and raped and murdered, and had to abuse and rape and murder because of that. Maybe maybe don't have memories, then also okay, the triple face, listening to satanic ritual abuse. We have Imagination Podcast, Anneke Lucas Podcast, great platforms, supporting for these platforms. Okay, supporting for these platforms, creating social media platforms that are relevant to that, and some of your business people. And I know that all of you business people are also, okay, you were very particularly inbred. Some of you to become breeders as well. So that would release. And if you ask, let's say you have pedophilia or something like this, I don't know, then that from what I've seen, okay, from a lot of people, it's basically when you have your yes, no, and maybe respected, then you can tend to your own inner child, and then that okay, it's mostly about that, and isolate yourself from a place where you could hurt children, which if you are imprisoned is impossible because they demand you for to do certain things, I guess. And that is setting intentions, listening to survivors. You may have memories, okay, if you don't remember, something comes up, something like this. Remember, you're not imagining. It's very important. Housing first, an open dialogue, you're not imagining. If you remember something, no, you're not dreaming this. There is something, okay, there's something there. You hold space because a lot is done for you to dissociate, to not remember, to not believe, and you are programmed to do that to others and to yourself as well. And that is clearing the neural pathways for true wealth and success, and whether in business, everything. And you need to keep in mind, okay, that you're going to be more wealthy. It's what I get when I've worked with Algol. You're more wealthy. And wealth is all the things together. It's the freedom to drink a cup of coffee in a restaurant, both without looking at the price, but also without having 24/7 guards around you, okay? It's the wealth to say for this person, no, I don't meet you now. It's why you made money to begin with, for some of you, okay? But then you actually get that because you're not extorted. This is in the way, okay, you get that. So, and the more people tend to that, the easier it becomes to tend to that. So the recovery from trauma is basically becoming easier for all of us. So we can do business, we can do entertainment. One project that is cruelty-free artistry is of Jaguar, right? Began to look into. I know she's still doing with. It's basically human trafficking. If it's not will and consent sex, then it's not. Yes, but this at least attempt to have music industry that is free from that. And these things. The more we tend to that, the more information we get, the more things we try, then essentially, because I've seen some of the minds of most of you, and some minds I've seen that are really understanding wealth, okay, understanding what is to sit in front of the sky full of stars and enjoy life. Okay, what is to have your green shake and just enjoy, okay, strolling around. Those little things are eventually the things that you miss from when you were a child and so on. It was very interesting to see that. Okay, so you wouldn't expect to keep, humbled by people whose destiny is to have like the entire wealth of the world or something. So that is what I have to say. And Mercury, of course, is associated with technology, and there too, okay, thinking about children and technology, and the trickery needed to find ways to have technology that is good for children, and is in a way that's good for us, and in a way that's good for children. Like this phone very likely was not. And then would I be able to broadcast to you if not for this phone? So what I would use it to try and find other things, not just for the environment, but also we are a part of the environment, and for the environment that is people, yes, as well, and to be more inclusive. And remember the power of storytelling, which you can do a satire, which you can tell a profound message, and have it heard, because this is a form of art that take place, and the many trickery ways of working with AI and artificial intelligence, AI and the arts. Okay, if I have a sketch in my mind around art is not free, Adolf Hitler. But you know what? It's maybe a good thing to announce a bit of competition. If you want to have a art is not free, Adolf Hitler design that you designed. And so I don't have awards for this competition. I might give you essential oil blends that is adapted to you, for the person that, I don't know, designs for the design that I see is the fittest to my idea. So I'm not going to tell of my idea, but if you have designs that you protect your designs, protect with patents and everything. It's not about taking your rights, it's the other way around. But this is competition. If you have design, okay, the concept is art is not free, Adolf Hitler, and with your cult and symbolism and everything. And this is for the design that will be most close to idea that I thought, or even better, which is very likely to be. Many people think about it. You would get essential oil blend at the bottle of 10 milliliters essential oil blend that I make. That's dedicated to you. I can't promise that you will like it, but it's dedicated to you, and it's dedicated to this artwork. You get it when I'm able to purchase for the materia, because I already know for some essential oils that I want to put there. So that is my tiny competition. Protect your artwork before you send them to me. This is not something that that I do. Yes, and I'm announcing this now, and I will go to the Mercury retrograde, and when Mercury is direct, then if you send to me stuff, then I can announce for a winner and ask you for where to send you the essential oil. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.